So put E85 in there, and then we're gonna go test and see how what the ethanol content is and what the AFR is. Topped it out. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. It's Ashton here. So I've been absent for a little while. That's because we had a big CDK ADP outage, so that set me back a little while. I worked for a dealership, if y'all don't know. So what CDK ADP is it's a big program we use to keep track of our customers, write tickets, and keep track of repair orders. I was doing everything by hand, keeping track of my own hours and everything else. So I didn't really have time to make videos and think about stuff to do to the car. But I did come up with an idea. I made my own E85 flex fuel sensor kit, and I used a lot of parts off the internet. I pieced together everything, and it took me a little while to find all the parts and decide exactly what I wanted to do and how to do it. But I did find all the parts. I'm gonna list them in the description in the video. So I bought the wiring harness from DC Creations. It's about 8 foot long. It was a nice wiring harness, paid about $40 for that. I bought the flex fuel sensor from Amazon. It was an OEM genuine AC Delco sensor for $59. I got all the finish line factory fittings and lines for about $120, I believe. And then I got the adapters off of Amazon for about, I think it was $40 total. So I usually buy adapters from anybody because they're pretty much similar. They just rebrand them. But I don't buy cheap fuel line and cheap fittings. I've been using Finish Line Factory Racing fuel line and fittings for a while. I made a whole triple pump fuel system for the last car with that company, and it worked out great. It lasted a long time. I sold the car with the same fuel system and lines on it, and it just worked out great. So the biggest thing I wanted was a gauge mounted inside my car. So all the E85 gauges I was seeing were $300, $400. I found this gauge, guys, for $90 off of eBay. Now it came from out of the country, but it is small, and it's probably one of the best gauges I've found for monitoring E85 and temperature. So let's check it out. So I bought this gauge off of eBay for $90. It's called a Get Gauge. Name of the company is Get Gauges. Right now we're at 10% ethanol at 88 degrees Fahrenheit. So later on in the video we're gonna go fill up. I'm gonna fill it up to about 8 gallons E85, and the rest pump gas. Should put me around E40, E50. But it's real clean, simple install. I used some Velcro for the back of this. I didn't want to drill any holes in my console or in a dash or anything like that. So you do have this little wire right here, but that's okay. It doesn't bother me. It might not bother you, but the gauge fits right in between the USB and the cigarette lighter. And that was the $90 Get Gauge. So you can monitor E85 full time. I didn't want to buy a fuel kit because I didn't want another app on my phone. I'm running too many apps on my phone as it is. This way I can monitor my E85 at all times. If I put race E85 in there or whatever, I always have the ethanol content right at my fingertips. Also, another feature of the gauge is you can go from Fahrenheit to Celsius. You can set a ethanol warning if it's too low or it's too high. There's a little button like you would use on a cell phone, like right at the top to put it's like a little bitty small button, like if you were to take a SIM card out your phone, a little pin they gave you. So there's like a little button right there. I don't know if you can see it, make it out on video, but you scroll with the button and you can change all the settings on the gauge. So it's probably the best gauge I've found, like I said, for $90 versus $300, $400. I couldn't believe I found this. So I had purchased 3 or 4 of these from Amazon. I got a 90 and a couple straights to see what would work best. And I was looking everywhere. They're basically all the same, just different manufacturers make them. So I don't mind buying adapters from different companies. But when it comes to fuel line, I like using this specific company. It's called Factory Finish Line. And they make great products. I've plumbed a whole fuel system with them. My last car had a 4 triple hat and a relay system. And I opted out to make my own fuel lines with a fuel filter. But it says right here that Factory Racing Supply products only use quality materials and precision craftsmanship. They are designed for both professionals and enthusiasts alike. Our products have been engineered for the demands of a racetrack environment. Professional installation is highly recommended. Visit them at factoryracingsupply.com. So that's the company I use for all my fuel lines and fittings. They are wonderful, always ship within 2 to 3 days, and I've never had a problem with running E85 through any of these lines. I've made numerous fuel lines for people and numerous things with them, with these lines, so this is what I'm doing. I'm going to be making an E85 kit, and I'll show you how to do that. So yeah, if you buy a fuel kit and then you want a dedicated gauge inside the car, you're probably going to spend at least $600 to $700. I couldn't see spending that just to monitor E85. So I was looking for the best, cheapest way possible to do it to save some money. Everything's tight right now with the economy, so this is going to be the next mod I'm doing. It's not really a mod, but I'm going to be able to monitor my E85, see what the content is, and that way I can check the content and then check the logs after we do a run, see what the AFR is, if we're rich, lean, and we'll go from there. So this is the harness I got from DC5 Creations. That plugs into the flex fuel sensor. This is going to be your ground, this is going to be your power, and this is going to be your signal. Now, I was going to make my own harness, but I didn't have all the connectors, and for 40 bucks, can't beat it. It's plug and play. So I'm going to hook that up. I'll let y'all know what fuses I use, and we'll go through the install on that. So I did go ahead and I made the lines. I really couldn't get it on camera because it was a pain in the ass to make the lines. So I'm going to go over this in a different video. But the install came out clean. I used my 90 right here. So 3/8 fuel line to 6 A&N. So you got your 6 A&N straight. It loops around to 6 A&N straight. I got the screw type adapters, 3/8, so they're nice and flush against the flex fuel sensor. And I got a straight 3/8 adapter with a 45-degree angle. So it all in all, it came out pretty good. I'm gonna show you how to do some lines in a different video. If you haven't messed with A&N lines, they're kind of a pain in the ass sometimes. I haven't done them in a while. I forgot how much of a pain in the butt they were, so I might invest in some good tools to do them. But the best way to do them is a cutoff wheel. So you tape them off and get a straight edge with a cutoff wheel. And then the biggest thing if you use a cutoff wheel is it creates a lot of trash. So you want to flush the lines out real good. So what I did was I blew them out, then I run some alcohol through them I had. And then before I hooked it up to my fuel rail, I ran the car with the rail, with the fuel line disconnected from the rail, and I put it in my fuel jug and just ran like half a gallon of gas through, so make sure the line was flush and I didn't have no trash going back in my fuel rails and in my injectors. So you definitely want to do that to make sure. So what I wound up doing is running that wiring harness. I pulled the little pins off and snaked it through the cowl all the way across and underneath the battery tray. And I took the battery box tray out with the battery and I ran it through this little drain. Usually I wouldn't run wires through here, but if you look inside the fender liner where I pulled back from, you could see the header, so I didn't want to run the wires along the header because I didn't have any heat prevention tape to not get the wires all melted and everything. So I didn't want to melt any wires, so I ran it through there. Usually I wouldn't run wires through there. I've seen people run fuel system wires through there. I would not do that, but this is perfectly fine. And this is a weather pack connector, so there's no water going to get in there anyway. And I'm not going to lay it inside the drain, so it should stay pretty dry. And there's a cover and everything that goes over this anyway, and the car stays in the garage. So I'm not going to have any problems there. And then what I did was I pulled back the fender liner slightly. Look at those big brakes. I do love these big brakes on this car. I'm not changing them. So there, I ran the wire through a little nipple, through the drain, goes into the nipple. Get a close up of that for y'all. So I'm gonna tape that little nipple off right there so we don't get no water in there. And that's gonna be it for the harness install. I'm gonna put the battery and the tray back in. So if you didn't know, if you get on the passenger side of the vehicle by the kick panel, there's a fuse box. So what you're gonna do is pull back and then pull up. So if you pull the carpet back right here, this is where the wires come through that connector behind the fender liner. So these are the wires right here. They come through the connector and they go right here to fuse number 2 to the window motors. That was the safest fuse I felt to use, and it was powered on and off by the ignition, so it's nothing major if the fuse blows, which it shouldn't, but you never know in the situation that it does. And the only wire was left to connect, but connected them together was the signal wire from the gauge and the signal wire from the ethanol sensor, so we can get that readout. So that was it for the wiring. It was pretty simple. If you have any questions, just drop them below in the comments and I'll answer all your questions. So yeah, the install went pretty smooth. And if you have any questions, just let me know. I'll put all the links to the parts in the description of the video. And some people have been putting like 2 or 3 gallons E85. You should test your E85 at the gas station first and see what it is. Usually ours is about 60 to 70%. So I've been doing about 8 gallons of full E85 and 8 gallons of gas. So I'm curious to see what that's going to put me at. The AFR has been spot on. I haven't had any funky fluctuations. It always trims out and goes back to the 93 cruising AFR, which is about 14.5 cruising. So it's running good. I haven't had any negative drawbacks. No white smoke coming out the tailpipes like detonation. If anything, I'm getting full timing out of it when I checked the log last time. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fill up, and then I may check logs. I got to get the scanner from my buddy because there's no point in buying a scanner. Can't really do anything anyway. So if he's got the HB tuner scanner, I might borrow it from him just to check some logs and see what's going on. But we're gonna go fill up and show you how the car runs and show you the gauge, what it reads. I'm curious to see as well. It's reading 10% right now, so regular gasoline does have 10 to 15% ethanol in it. So I'm gonna try to get up to 50. So I pulled all night last night and couldn't finish the video. So we're gonna go fill up on E85 this morning on my way to work. I'm gonna take the car out today. The weather's supposed to be good, no rain. So we're gonna double check our lines, make sure they're not leaking. I've checked them several times, they look okay. So I'm just gonna monitor them for a couple days, you never know. But they're not leaking, so I'm pretty confident in that. I've never had a problem before. And let's go see what the ethanol content readout is. Still my favorite Mustang of all the ones I've owned and body style. I don't care what they say. So right now we're about E10 and the temp's 103. I'm assuming it's gonna rise as you start driving, but I don't know yet because this is the first time that I've had it in use. So I'm super happy with it. I couldn't be more happier. It's awesome, guys. Probably one of the best things I've done to this car so far. So I'm at the local pump. No, I'm not a rewards member. This is a racetrack gas station I'm at. E85. Somebody swapped the diesel button on there, but it's not diesel. So I'm gonna put about 8 gallons of E85 in here. So that's 8 gallons E85. I'm gonna put the rest pump gas. So I put E85 in there, and then we're gonna go test and see what the ethanol content is and what the AFR is. So there's our ethanol content. It's going up slowly. I've been driving for about 4 minutes, 5 minutes. I shook the tank up a little bit, did some slaloms back and forth to shake everything up. So we had about 36% right now. I thought it would be a little bit more, but the pump must be a little low this morning. It's usually between about 65 and 70%. 37% ethanol, temps 96. You can see the little gauge is giving me a warning because it wants me to go up. I have it set at E60, which I probably won't get there. I'll have to do some testing on that. But there you go, guys. Ethanol in the tank of the Mustang. I put 8 gallons this morning with the rest 93. Couldn't be happier, like I keep saying. So, thanks for watching this video. Hope y'all enjoy. I'm gonna try to make a pull for y'all. Y'all can see the AFR is pretty good. 14.2, 14.1, sometimes 13.9. flex fuel readout. For those guys who want to run E85, it can be done. Don't be scared to do it. The car responds phenomenally right now. I'm cruising on the interstate, and the AFR is 13.9, 14.2, so it didn't change that much. So it likes what it sees. And last time I did this, I went to the track and I was getting full timing. So the end result on the ethanol was about 38-40%. And